Jay-Z has allegedly gone underground after explosive claims hit the internet. Rumors say Michael Jackson is alive and preparing to reveal everything. I have footage you're about to see, but before we get to that, we need to understand how we got here.
One person I believe in Hollywood who people conspired to actually take down because he had too much power, and I believe that person was Michael Jackson. The reason I believe that is because you can look into the story. Paul McCartney and Michael used to be real cool. Paul was telling Michael, like, yo, you got to get your business together, you got to get your business right. Michael ended up getting so big that he bought the Beatles publishing. The Beatles publishing was worth so much that literally Sony gave Michael Jackson half of their publishing company just to own the Beatles catalog. Imagine how powerful a black man is when he owns our majority of the music industry's publishing. In some cases, was even giving publishing back to some of the artists. He gave Little Richard his publishing back. I don't know how many people he did that to, but he gave Little Richard his publishing back. I believe that Michael Jackson had too much power in the music industry, had too much control over the most valuable asset in music, which is people's publishing, and I believe...
Because according to these theories, Michael Jackson wasn't simply mistreated by the media, he was deliberately muted. For decades, people whispered that something about his death never made sense. Now new hints suggest he may have survived, but under extreme pressure. The footage raises disturbing questions. For years, tabloids pushed the idea that Michael was broken and bankrupt, even though he insisted he'd made hundreds of millions and still owned half of the ATV catalog. His net worth was massive, but insiders claim he was cash poor, barely accessing real liquid money. He supposedly knew he needed one final huge payday before selling the catalog and disappearing for good. That's when This Is It was announced. But before the shows even began, he died, leaving Michael both financially drained and still in control of all his masters. Yet the strangest part is what happened next. The doctor who allegedly administered the fatal dose, Conrad Murray, didn't call 911 immediately. Instead, he phoned someone else, a man named Fahim Mohammed, reportedly tied to P. Diddy and known in industry circles as a cleanup guy. And it spirals further. When the Jackson family went to reclaim Michael's fortune, they discovered that back in 2002, 7 years before his death, a former employee he fired in 2003, John Branca, had allegedly funneled MJ's money into an offshore Caribbean account. That same Branca had also regained control of Michael's estate through a document reportedly signed in Los Angeles on a day when Michael wasn't even in California, he was in New York. Even more unsettling, the new Michael Jackson biopic, starring his nephew Jaffa Jackson, reportedly has John Branca as its executive producer, the same man Michael had once removed for alleged financial misconduct. According to these circulating claims, the entire narrative around Michael's life and death was manipulated so certain people could control him during his life and after it. Some rumors even say Michael privately claimed that Jay-Z and high-ranking Hollywood figures pressured him into taking on a new identity through advanced cosmetic changes, attempting to erase the version of him the world loved in order to keep him under their influence.
The first original public clones was Michael Jackson.
What?
Yes. So if you take a look at Michael Jackson, right? Oh, he had plastic surgery. This is why they're making plastic surgery really popular, quote unquote, because they can basically deduce, oh, the celebrity had plastic surgery. It's not a clone, it's plastic surgery. That's why they look different, right? So Michael Jackson was their first sort of test run for cloning. And specifically the reason why they replaced him with a clone was because he was saying too much.
He was, right?
He was against the system. He was talking, out of bounds, quote unquote, because they couldn't control him anymore. And he wanted to wake people up. So they kicked him off. They replaced him with a clone. And that's why his skin got whiter. That's why his face got more gaunt.
You've had implants in your cheeks.
Oh, God.
You've had a dimple made in your chin. You've had your lips enlarged.
Oh,
You've had your eyelids reconstructed. Eyelids reconstructed.
Stupid.
None of it's true.
None of it's true. None of it's true. It's BS. They made it up. They lie. They don't want to give me credit for anything. One paper said I had because I was growing a little beard, he had each little hair transplanted into his face with a lasered in. How ignorant is that? I can't even grow a beard now? You ignorant fool who wrote such a thing.
Some insiders further allege that he was pushed to publicly blame his appearance changes on his father's harshness, a cover story crafted so the deeper truth would remain hidden. The media echoed the explanation non-stop, and most of the world accepted it. Now let's break down the leaked footage closely. Every second seems to hint at how far certain forces may have gone to keep Michael silent, reshape his image, and make sure no one learned how powerful he truly was behind the scenes.
Or he truly,
like, they'd be like, oh, Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC. Michael's the only person I believe they really, really tried to railroad like that because of what he did with the publishing in the music industry.
He talked about it all the time. He talked about it all the time. One thing I will say is that in the studio, he would always talk about how he lived in a certain fear. And I used to always try to reel him in a direction like, yo, you only supposed to fear God. Man shouldn't have you feeling like that. No man should have you living in that space. But he lived in that space a lot because he felt like he had something that was so valuable, which he did. He had something so valuable that people wanted.
He owned like half of Sony ATV's publishing, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it that way because I think people have confused the narrative. People for so long have said, Michael owned the Beatles catalog.
I've heard that.
No, Michael owned Sony ATV.
That's right.
Which is Babyface, Mariah, the Beatles.
Beyonce.
Probably some of my catalog was in there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Isn't that
feel
like half
me?
the
Like,
music industry?
yes. At the time, you had three giants. Sony was pretty much the biggest out the three at that time. And they did a deal with him that forever he felt that they wanted back.
You think they threw all those cases at Michael because they wanted it back?
I think it could have had something to do with it. I'm not going to say exactly that, but it could have had something to do with it. But I believe none of it because I was around Mike all the time and I knew the kind of person he was. So I'm like, they really trying to kill his character.
Yeah, I don't believe
And
it.
he would say it, like, he'd be like, they just can't stand that I'm the greatest. He would literally say that. He would literally say that. They just can't stand that I'm the greatest.
How was his mind frame during that time? Did he feel like the culture, especially black people, supported him and loved him, or did he feel like the world was turning against him?
Now, I would say we started to surround him with that. Like, if you look, there was a period where I think he didn't feel that. And I felt like he was like, I need this, right? So there were certain people that he started to reach out to put their arms around him, and he started to feel that. That's why he would do a summer jam with Jay-Z. He knew, like, I need people to have my back in this, and then certain people did wrap their arms around him.
Yeah.
And as things progressed, the one thing I can tell you about Michael that I started to learn was his family was strong. When they got together and wore all that white, they were wearing those white, going into court each day, you saw that unity in a different type of light. You're like, oh, yo, these Jacksons, they're not playing around with this. They unified. And I think that helped him, even though he was like probably going through it mentally weak and all of that. It's tough when you know you pretty much own something that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Damn.
4 years, Michael supposedly lived in constant fear, but according to these rumors, that fear has finally lifted. Sources claim he's preparing to speak publicly, ready to describe what he experienced, and expose every name involved in what he allegedly endured.
Michael Jackson owned, the rights to the Beatles. He owned a significant portion of Elvis's catalog. Who's more popular than them two guys in the world of white music? And a black man owns the rights. Sony Records deliberately sabotaged Michael Jackson's last album, Invincible, to guarantee that he would be into debt to the corporation, so he would have to pay them back by giving up the catalog. And ultimately, that's why he was murdered. He should have never came back to the Staples Centers to prepare for those concerts that he had lined up. Those concerts would have gave him the liquid cash to pay off his debt to Sony and keep his catalog. So in order to make sure you get the catalog back, you got to make sure that Michael never goes on tour to get the liquid cash. Michael wasn't broke. He just didn't have the liquid cash. He had the assets. He didn't have the liquid money. And from what I heard, the catalog is no longer in the Jackson family's possession.
Michael's death was not the result of one fatal incident. It was more like a case of death by 1,000 cuts.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? I would say that Dr. Murray was a facilitator, and Dr. Klein and a number of the other doctors that were in a hurry to give Michael what he wanted. The family couldn't stop it. They were concerned. AEG, according to the family, put a lot of pressure on Michael, and no matter what anybody says, there gets a point where you could take a whole group of people and say that was the basic cause.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? In my opinion, it's my profession. It was not just one physician, it was multiple physicians. And I'm here to tell you that in those decades, my peers killed my patients, often celebrities, all the time. And it breaks my heart to say it, but it's the truth.
It's sad to say,
that Michael Jackson died. But Michael Jackson killed Michael Jackson. And all of those other doctors that enabled him with opioids over the years are complicit to his death.
How difficult was Michael Jackson's passing for you?
Devastating. I have so many good memories. Spending time with him. I've known his family for so many years. For at least 20. That I thought, this can't be true. This can't be true. I just remember doing the anniversary special, 30th anniversary. And I remember looking at Michael. I remember looking at myself.
That's when you were so bone thin, you were frail.
I was getting scared.
Looking at him?
Yeah. And then I could see myself, I was looking at myself going, no, I don't want this to be like this. This can't happen, not both of us, but Mike.
When is the last time you saw him?
I think it was that time, but I spoke to him during the trial a lot. By that time, he had cut everybody, a lot of people off. He didn't want to be seen.
Did he cut you off?
He would speak to me on the phone, but he didn't want to.
All of these theories trace back to one claim: Michael Jackson refused to fully surrender to what people call the industry elite or Illuminati-style power structure. He resisted and paid the price. But now, according to the rumors spreading online, the truth is rising to the surface and the world might not be prepared for what comes next.